Hello, everybody. Well, welcome to Sue Bloom, the infamous Bloom Show. Uh, she has actually have some medical problems right now, so I'm going to ask everybody to keep her in prayer, including Rhonda, and everybody out listening. Please send your prayers, mass prayer, to Sue Bloom. She's a wonderful lady, great musician, great friend, and she does a great show. So hopefully, I don't even know if I can live up to that, but I'm going to sure as hell try. Today's guest is a musician, I believe songwriter, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. But this is Rhonda Ray. Welcome to this infamous Sue Bloom show.
Well, thanks for having me. And yeah, we're just sending all the good vibes to Sue. Um, wish her a speedy recovery and an accurate diagnosis and whatever's going on with her, get that resolved quickly. But I'm glad to be on with you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. So, Rhonda, tell us a little bit about yourself before we're going to get into your music and talk about your video. And what I've really absolutely love is "Kiss Me Deadly." Lita Ford, a great song by Lita. I'm a
Yeah.
big runaway guy. Saw Joan Jett a couple times. Actually, friends with Joan Jett with a couple of her musician friends. Tell us a little bit about Rhonda, how you got started in music, and what influenced you to start playing music.
Yeah, well, I'm an award winning rock artist. It's all on my website in the bio. I'm basing out of LA right now. So I'm out on the West Coast. I spent most of my career in Texas and touring the Southeast and the Midwest, Oklahoma, and a few other places here and there. I've been out here to the West Coast a couple times, but got some great things going on with my management of Blaze Entertainment, Miss Paula Ann, who,
Oh, Paul
like,
Ann, I
yeah,
love Paul Ann. She's a good friend of ours.
yeah, and speedy recovery to her as she recovers from a hip replacement.
Oh wow.
And so there, she's probably just going to be even tougher now, the bionic woman. And but yeah, I started music when I was really young. It was part of the culture of our family, and I'm really glad that I grew up really with some really simple, good values, and just music was one of them.
Yeah. So your music. Let's talk about your music, your style. You play. You said rock genre. Is that correct?
That's right.
Tell me a
Yeah.
little bit more about that. How you got into the rock genre? Because you're from Texas. Usually you're like Southern rock, country rock.
I mean, all those words that you're saying just confuse me. Isn't rock hasn't rock always been
Exactly.
a
Exactly.
multifaceted genre from James Taylor to Motorhead? And I hate the way the industry is now about genre. I really hate it. I would describe it as old school classic rock meets new. Some of it's all my songs do not sound the same. I don't have one thing that I do. Some of them are a bit harder. Some of them are a bit more uh, of a bluesy ballad. But it's just good music that lifts people up, and yeah, that's what I do. And I have had to fight to be rock and roll. I think everybody would be comfortable with, or with, everybody. I use that term very broadly, but from fans to the industry, they're really comfortable with girls being singer songwriters. They're comfortable if you say Americana. They're comfortable if you say um, country. But if you say, like, I get to say who I am and what I want to be. Nobody else gets to say that. And I have said I will die on the hill of rock and roll. And rock and roll is an attitude. It's about living beyond the status quo. It is not about following the path and the formula and the algorithm to find the quickest way to success and fame. It's about discovering who you are on a daily basis and living true to that, and writing music and recording music that reflects that. And so that's what being a rock artist means to me. And what you said about being from Texas, that's one of the reasons I'm out on the West Coast now, is just to be in an environment that's a little more friendly towards what I do. So I love you, Texas, but we got to keep spreading our wings, and I'll be back soon.
No, I agree with that too. I always said that. I don't know, a lot of people don't understand that, but when I used to go into the record stores years ago, rock genre was huge. I mean, we had Jim Croce, we had Harry Chapin, we had Kiss. I mean, they're still rock, but now some of them, people say they're heavy metal. I'm like, no, they're not heavy metal.
Yeah.
But so I get what you're saying, and a lot of the stations that are out there, they divide these artists up, like over here and over here and over there, and I'm like, nah, not really. They're all in the rock genre. That rock genre is huge.
Yeah, and Nashville, and when I say Nashville, I mean the music business system in Nashville has just been, since the early 90s, absorbing every genre into itself. I just heard a cover song someone was doing of a classic country song, and it was just made so they tried to make it into a rock song. And it's like, when you start doing that, I mean, some things can be cool and different, don't get me wrong, but country music has lost what made it great to begin with. And I love that George Strait just had the biggest selling concert in record history. I don't know if you saw that, but I don't know if it was I really didn't pay attention. I think it was in Houston maybe, but he's still the king, man. And he's not doing costume changes. He's not twerking. He's just up there singing good music and being true to himself. And that's what I look for in any artist and in any song is there authenticity here. And with our age of social media, and it's just fake everywhere. Everything's fake. And you can't even hardly get a factual news report anymore. And so that's what I try to be and do and look for, is just that authenticity. And I'm not sure what led me to, what question did you ask?
It was about the rock genre.
Oh, but I know what I was going to say, because we're going to talk about Kiss.
Please, and you can, go ahead.
So I've read Lita Ford is such a huge hero of mine. I've read her book over and over. To me, it's the textbook for female rockers. She's been through and overcome so much. And, in the early 90s, there was a change in the head of BMG. A bunch of these rockers from the 80s and probably the 70s were with BMG. And they pushed the rock guy out, and the new head came in, and he was a big country guy. And that's why country took off in the 90s a lot. She was nominated for a Grammy, and they dropped her. And so the people don't understand all these things. Stuff just doesn't just happen.
I know.
There are people in positions of power that make decisions and choices of who's going to succeed and who's going to this and who's going to not. And it changed the music industry. It changed culture just by one replacement of the head of the label. So I find that fascinating, because I never knew that till I read her book.
That is quite, I mean, it's her view on it, but the view is very, from 10,000 feet up, that view is like,
it's not her view. It's what happened to her.
No, I understand. That's what I'm saying. Her opinion, but it was exactly what happened to her. But it happened to so many other musicians, and they just haven't wrote about it. They haven't put it in paper. They haven't done anything.
Yeah.
Ask yourself why.
For sure. I mean, it's crazy. So that's why we're so dependent on people like you, and our fan base, on community, to support us, to listen, to stream, to share, do all of those things, to support unsigned independent artists.
What's funny is we talked to a lot of oldies guys, and they said they never got paid for a lot of their music. Some guy that I talked to, his name was Norman Bergen. He came to our studio, and he wrote the songs, did the backgrounds for Carole King songs, Neil Sedaka songs, Tony Orlando songs, and he was a session musician. So he was like the wrecking crew for some of the musicians on the East Coast. And I asked him, I said, well, you would think that a lot of these newer artists would learn from you guys, and try to put things in perspective. So this way you would have at least a stream of income coming in.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, what they have done is already done. The only they can capitalize on is merchandise.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that with merchandise compared to songs?
Oh, it's so important. I mean, sometimes you feel like a t-shirt salesman, and
Yes.
gigs and merch are how I pay the bills. And that's just it, the royalties, you just have to have so many millions of streams for it to amount to anything significant. You just keep trucking along, and maybe something will change. I saw an interesting person who's an artist manager on TikTok talk about Spotify and how he thinks in 5 years it'll be gone. He thinks that at some point somebody else will actually care about the artists and do it better and do it right. But who knows? I mean, it's just interesting. Just like what Lita wrote in her book, it's just interesting to hear that perspective, that it's never been artist centered. And the Spotify CEO just said that it doesn't cost anything to make music. And my team and I would sorely beg to differ with our bank statements in hand.
Yeah, I know it's a tough rock on the road is a tough lifestyle. It really is. You go to a bar, you play at a bar, you go home, and then you hope to play at another bar, and then you go home. And it's just like, if you ever get a chance to have a good lifestyle in it, and you have a great fan club or a fan base, at least you're doing something. Some of these guys, don't have nothing, because you got to remember, a lot of these people that were in so-called bands and they're not known on the streets. They're known by the band only. Right. And that's very, very sad, because some of these musicians are so accomplished and great artists, and they've left us with a legacy of songs and stuff, just like Ford.
That's so true. I mean, there are bands that I love and I can't name all the members of the band. I mean, and they're legends, it's crazy.
I know. So let's do this. Let's play your video and Lita Ford, Kiss Me Deadly. If you want to lead up to this and talk a little bit about it, tell us a little bit before we do it. I would like you to do that.
Well, sure. I mean,
why did you pick it? What's about the song? And, I'm sure you're a good person that likes Lita Ford.
Yeah, I love Lita Ford. Actually, Paula Ann suggested that I cut it. It was a song that I already did at shows and loved. It was her biggest hit back in 1988. It was the height of MTV and all of that was going on. But, to me, this song is about the person who, no matter what happens to them in life, no matter how many knocks they take, they just keep showing up for the party. Like, showing up for a good time. Maybe there's a chance that things are going to turn around for me tonight. And that's a broad metaphor to having a good time, all the way to what's going on in my life,
right.
Having a turnaround. I always call myself the eternal optimist. And one of the guys in my band used to say, you're like the dude in Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance, like when she tells him there's a 1 in a million chance that she would date him, Lloyd. So you're saying there's a chance, and that's this person, and that's what Kiss Me Deadly means to me.
All right, so let's hear that now, and we'll come back and we'll talk about the video. Okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do that. Here it comes. Let's start all over.
I went to a party last Saturday night. I didn't get late. I got in the back. It ain't no big thing. Late for my job and the traffic was bad. Had to borrow $10 from my old man. It ain't no big thing. I went to a party last Saturday night. If I told you that story, it'd be alright. It ain't no big thing, but I know what I like. I know I like dancing with you, and I know what you like. I know you like dancing with me. Yeah, yeah. Kiss me once, kiss me twice. Come on, pretty baby, kiss me gently. Had a few beers, getting high, sitting, watching the time go by. It ain't no big thing. Nothing to eat and no TV. Looking in the mirror, don't get it from me. It ain't no big thing, but I know what I like. I know I like dancing with you, and I know what you like. I know you like dancing with me. Oh yeah. Kiss me once, kiss me twice. Come on, pretty baby, kiss me gently. Kiss me once, kiss me twice. Come on, pretty baby, kiss me gently. You know I like dancing with you, dancing with you. Come on, kiss me once, kiss me twice. Come on, pretty baby, kiss me gently. Kiss me once, kiss me twice. Come on, pretty baby, kiss me. Come on, pretty baby, kiss me. Come on, pretty baby, kiss me gently.
Wow. Woo! You blew me away with that. You did a
Ah,
wonderful job. I mean, not only the rendition of the music was great, everything else was great too. It was just unbelievable that you put that together like that.
thank you. A big shout out to Tune Media over in the UK who did that video. They do all sorts of things for me, but thank you, Tune Media, for a super cool lyric video. We changed it up with that one, and it's just a fun song. I mean, and my goal with it was just to make a song Lita Ford would listen to and go, "That's freaking cool. Good job." It's so
Yeah.
intimidating to cover a song like that. I did I did Gold Dust Woman on a previous album, and I was so it was so daunting. You know, it's when you have icons that have shaped popular culture and songs that are adored by the masses. It's kind of intimidating. So I'm glad everyone's enjoying it.
Yeah, I really liked the aspects of the song as far as music. I mean, the guitar solos were freaking amazing. I mean, come on. Did you play all them guitar solos or have somebody else play them?
No, I didn't. I never like to play on my records.
So you're just a singer. You just a singer.
I just sang on it. I did that one in Nashville produced by Jeff Huskins, who's a Grammy award-winning producer. He's the BMG guy, and really, really cool dude, and just the top musicians you could hire in Nashville playing on the record. But my thing is it just is an objectivity thing for me. I'm a little bit of a limited lead guitar player. I can learn parts and things, but I like to step back and let people who that's all they do, you know, give their all to it. And then usually I'll learn something new, a new skill set that I can incorporate into my repertoire. And so that's just my preference.
So are you currently pursuing, is this going to be like an album or is this going to be a couple singles?
I don't know. We'll see how it goes along. I mean, there's really not any incentive with the current music industry to for an artist like me to release an album. So we're just building up the catalog a little bit, and Paula Ann's got a few tricks up her sleeve, and she's working real hard to connect some dots for me, and we're planning a tour and all sorts of things. So we'll see what happens, but there's plenty more music coming, whether it's one single at a time or a group or whatever happens. There will be plenty of music to come.
And now, have you been playing locally around your area too? You have to say where it's at, but I just want to know if there's any spots that you want to mention where you're going to be.
Yeah, I have been. I've been out here in California for 2 months and just, you know, had to start working a new market. But luckily, I already had a few friends out here to help connect me. And I'm playing Saturday at the Twist on Main in Ventura. I've been playing in Ojai, California. I've got one coming up July 20th at Bombay in Ventura. I've been down to LA to play a few times, and just it's starting to build. And so you can always go to ronderemusic.com, click upcoming shows, or go to my social media. I always advertise the shows there. So we're just ramping up for an awesome summer.
So what's your rock environment like around there? A lot of people love that rock music.
Oh, it's just awesome. I mean, everything from the Grateful Dead to Nirvana to Black Sabbath to there's just such a resurgence of young people being into like 80s rock and 70s rock that it's just kind of wide open out here for an artist like me. And California has been a real surprise for me as far as how friendly and open everyone has been. They take the initiative to help you network, and it's just been a really positive experience for me so far.
So let me ask you this question, because I asked my friend last night on the video, what do you think music? Why do you think music has really died in the last 80 to 90s? And in 2000, we weren't getting. I mean, get a few artists here and there were great. Yeah, I get that, but they weren't like they were relevant in the 80s. That's why 80s and 90s, everybody's doing songs from the 80s and 90s because people remember them. That's number one, and they were great songs. So why do you think 2000 is hardly anything? I mean, these are our years to grow and get a whole new rock community, and we're not getting it.
The industry is so stacked against us. And it's just such a juxtaposition of, it's kind of like all of social media. In the beginning, it was like, here's a fun place for you to connect with your friends. Well, it's like the internet made it possible for everyone. It's like, oh yay, now everyone can record their music at home and share it, and isn't this great? Everyone can be an artist, except for a little basic business principle called supply and demand.
Or talent.
Well, there's that. And then,
I hate to say that, but you're right.
The labels don't develop people anymore. The people who know how to navigate the industry don't develop artists anymore. And so you're just kind of left to figure it out for yourself. And a label's not going to even look at you unless you've got a gazillion followers. And there's an average of 80,000 songs uploaded to Spotify every day. Not every week, every day.
So the market's flooded, you think?
So it's easy for you to make music, but it's real freaking hard for you to be heard. And pay to play is just on a whole other level to access certain things. You know, you've got a lot of people paying to do it. And that's fine, I guess. But who's getting through based on talent, work ethic, character, professionalism, musical skill, songwriting, any of that? And yeah, I don't know. This is a daily conversation in my mind between me, myself, and I.
There's got to be a breaking point, right? There's got to be a point where we say, yeah, we lost all these great people that were running the record companies that were, well, some of them were good, some of them were, that.
Yeah.
When the artists didn't get paid, they weren't that good. But the ones that were there, the ones that seen everything, the ones that were part of it, like you said, with Lita Ford and what she was trying to do, that makes the big difference. It's up to us. See, I think what we're waiting for is that savior to come in and go, you know what? Here, we're going to take care of this problem, music.
Yeah.
This music is the royalty rights. I go through this all the time with every musician I get. And I told you, even if they've been in the business 30 years, they still don't tag their music correctly. And I don't understand it. I don't get into it. I just tell them, listen, I'll play your song, but if it comes up with nothing, there's nothing I can do about it. People will hear it and they'll say, hey, who was that artist? I'm like, well, I don't know. I can't, if it didn't say, I don't know. I have to look at my list and see what it was. But if nothing comes up, it's really hard. It's very, very hard for us to communicate with the listener that wants to find out more about you and find out about, where you're going to be. And if you're around their area, or whatever reason. I have a friend like in the UK, he says, when I come to New Jersey or the New York area, I'll be more than glad to let you know. And he's in the UK. And he says, I have family and friends out there, so I'll let you know. So when he came here, he really didn't know what was going on. He was very confused. And I said, well, why didn't you let me know? He said, oh, I thought you saw my thing. I said, I didn't see the post on Facebook. I had no idea you were here. So we go through that where we hoping social networks are going to provide the information, but sometimes we don't see it. I don't see it all the time.
No, they don't. They're not helping us. I mean, we all put it out there and everything, but most of us don't. The independent artist is competing with every other major company in the world as far as ability to put advertising dollars in. It's like, do I have the same advertising budget as Coca-Cola or Budweiser?
No way.
Or Disney? No. And so I deal with it with my followers, with, trying to just communicate without being annoying, trying to communicate and create that engagement. But at the end of the day, it's just such a fool's errand because you just feel like, I'm trying so hard. And it's not that, listen, I want everybody else to win. and I want to win because I think there should be room for everybody. But it creates such a negative mindset. I forget what it's called, a scarcity mentality.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
That I'm not going to get mine if you get yours. And it's all set up this way. These algorithms and all this stuff. It's like a lot of us, especially the older generation, it's like, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this, you know, and it's all fueled by negativity, sensationalism. I'm a very positive person with a very positive brand. Life gets really hard, but if we stick together in community, somehow we're going to make it through type of person. And I don't like arguing and negativity and getting people in contention on a post just to make it go viral. It's just not who I am. So I'm like the least candidate for any of that stuff. And I'm just trying to have a good quality of life, remain true to myself. I know what I'm capable of because I've done it. I know how to do it. And thankfully, I have an amazing team with Paula Ann and her group that is helping me do more. But it's tough.
No, I want to give a shout out to Michael Bott Band. Great guy. We've just met Michael the last couple months. His song "My Way" has been played a lot on my radio station, plus a lot of his other tunes. And Thomas Ahsoka, just say hi, basically, and let them know that they're watching us, and we appreciate everybody that's watching us tonight. Again, Sue Bloom had health an emergency, and I told her to take care of herself, and she asked me, she said, "Doc, would you do this show?" I said, "Absolutely." I do not believe in canceling a show unless, you know, the other person decides to cancel for whatever reason there is. But I know that things happen. I wish her the best of health, that she can get better and come back and do this soon, because I'm not her. You know, I'm me, and my audience is totally different than what her audience is. But somehow it's simpatico, where we're both indie musicians. Only she's more accomplished than I am ever. You know, it's the idea of working together, just as you said, working together, networking closer together to help each other create. My song Bonfire says it all in one song, to bring everybody together for a mutual thing. And the bonfire was that.
Absolutely. Nailed it.
So what your music. So let's talk about Tiger Lily Girl. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that song, because that's another song that Sue sent me. So I want to make sure that we talk about that. Let's give me a little background on that.
Yeah, and I hope you got the video for that, because it shows a lot.
Let's see. If I did, I'll play that too.
It shows a lot more of my lifestyle in the video. That song is a co-write with a couple of my friends in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. If you know anything about Muscle Shoals, it was dubbed the hit recording capital of the world. Small town, big sound, maybe. I could be making that up, but it's a very small town in Alabama where a bunch of hits were recorded in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and they're still recording lots of music there today. Phenomenal world-class musicians there, and I am a small town girl, so it just worked really well for me. But again, you got it. It's
but that's not a video. That's just the picture of the video, correct?
Well, that looks like the cover shot of the video, the thumbnail. Yeah,
there's no video there, though.
Okay, well, I did send the link, so I'm not really sure.
Okay, no problem.
It's on my YouTube. I don't know if you're able to hit play on that or what, but
I could try, but I don't think it's going to do anything. Yeah, there's nothing to hit play on. There's no link.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, let me talk a little bit more about where you're headed now, as far and here's the thing. What do you think about AI? I mean, I've talked to friends, musicians that have been in the business for a long time. They said, it's a helping tool. It's great. There's some things about it I don't like as a musician. There's some things I don't like about it as far as a writer or things like that, because it does It really does enhance what you do. I mean, I put one sentence in there. Here's what I did. I went to AI. I said, create this song. Bob's your uncle, call him Bill. And the whole song was created from just that one word, just sentence. Of course, it's more instrumental and it just says it every now and then, but it's a catchy song. And what I'm trying to say to you is, if we can do stuff like that fast, that quick, well, what do we need musicians for? What do we need drums? What do we need guitars for? And it takes all the personal aspects of trying to make everything work together. What's your thoughts on AI?
Well, at first, it was really scary to me. I felt like I'd never heard about it. And then it was like, it's already here and in full force. And in fact, it was first started in like the 1940s, I've learned a lot about it. And I listened to a really interesting podcast just last week, and it was Rob Lowe and his son talking about it. Rob Lowe's son is in the tech industry and really gave a neat perspective, a very common sense perspective of it, about just how, it can make the parts of our job that we don't like and are time consuming a little easier. But he's a lawyer by trade. And he said, you're not going to have an AI bot show up in the courtroom to argue a case, but it can help you proofread an email or make sure this thing is set right or that thing or whatever. And that listening to that interview actually made me feel a little bit better about it, because it was the first opinion or viewpoint I'd heard about it that wasn't extreme. Everything is always, it's going to ruin us or it's going to this. We're all screwed. Just hide under a rock. And I mean, I don't really see myself using it. But who knows? Who knows where things are going? But I just hope that artists, be it writers in TV and film, authors, whoever it is. I mean, it's almost to me like the entertainment industry as a whole is so cutthroat. It's like, what's one more thing? What's one more thing, But I'm not too worried about it. I'm worried about the things I can control on a daily basis. What brings me joy, what puts money in my account, what makes me happy and having a good quality of life. I'm not interested in spending a whole lot of time thinking about something that I barely understand. Really, right. I'm not very interested in using, because the things that I don't like to do, I have people help me with. But I can see value. Like I see Michael talking about using AI to help generate album art.
This is what I'm talking about.
To me, that is exactly, but it lost its luster because it's a itty bitty square on the phone. See, it's not perfect, but I have apps that I use. I'm not a graphic designer, and I have an app that I use, and I literally just push a button and it'll do different filters and graphics on it. But it's something that I created that I guess that's sort of, I don't know if that's technically AI, but it's still an app that's giving it some gloss and shimmer and posterizing it or whatever, but I still created it. So I don't know.
Well, I found Tiger Lily Girl. So what we're going to do, we're going to play that video. So then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. Okay.
I'm glad you found it, because this really shows.
Go ahead. Right. Who you are. Okay. Here we go.
heels and
Oh, sorry, we lost it. Let me see if I can get it back. You still there, Rhonda?
Can you hear
Rhonda,
me?
you still there? Yeah, I lost it. I don't know what happened. It just went off. Let me try again and just keep talking. I'll get it again.
Well, Tiger Lily Girl is a co-write between me and two of my friends from Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
Oh, nice.
Before I even met her, my friend Valerie had written this song about the girl who lives outside the box and
Right.
rides a Harley and has some tattoos, and then we met and she pitched it to me and we worked on it, all three of us together, Valerie, Grant Weldon, and myself, and recorded it in Muscle Shoals at Grant's studio, Hear Tell Studios, and had great Muscle Shoals musicians playing on it. Evan Lane on the drums, Jamie McFarlane on the bass, and Kirk Russell on the lead guitar, and it was so much fun.
All right, let's try this again. See, we had a little blip, so let's see if we can get this going again. Here we go.
my favorite ride. Tattoos I can't hide. High heels I've tried and tried. I rock my t-shirts with southern pride. I'm a tiger-knitting girl in a rough kind of world, blowing wild and free. If you're looking for adventure like a little danger, come on, ride with me, come on. Like Bloom-RONDA, yeah. Do something scandalous. High maintenance, it's pretty clear. If you gotta go ahead and stare. I'm a tiger-knitting girl in a rough kind of world, rolling wild and free. If you're looking for adventure like a little danger, come on, ride with me, come on. You do you, I'll be shifting gears now. Baby, I'm free. Woo! I'm a tiger-knitting girl in a rough kind of world, rolling wild and free. If you're looking for adventure like a little danger, baby, ride with me, come on. I'm a tiger-knitting girl in a rough kind of world, rolling wild and free. If you're looking for adventure like a little danger, come on, baby, ride with me, come on. We're going on here. Let's go.
Wow, that was a kick butt song.
Thank
amazing. I love it. Why Tiger Lily though? It's a flower, right?
Yeah. It's just that whole unconventional, wild, free, not the status quo flower, you know.
That reminds me of a friend of mine. I didn't interrupt, but years ago he came up with a song called "I'm a Harley Man," and he said that he couldn't get played anywhere, nobody liked it, and nothing. And then I started playing it. Freaking everybody loved that song. So that reminds me of that kind of Harley type of thing, like that type of little old girl. So that was awesome. It was really good.
Absolutely. The song kind of created a movement, of you know, just everything in my life is such a defiance of the status quo, you know, and it's just that whole thing of showing people that they can live their dream too, you know, whatever that dream is, however big or small, no matter what sphere of life they're in, no matter what stage of life they're in, you know, there's something to hope for if we all, you know, go together. So it's been fun.
And do you find this as a songwriter too, that sometimes a song, you have a certain idea and a certain goal or dream or whatever it is, and then at the same time it's also going off in a different position, and you're kind of like, well, maybe I should go with it, you know, just let's see where this goes first, and then on one avenue and another avenue. I mean, I've come up with so many different songs with so many different versions, and I try to pick the version I like best, but I'm the creator. I like all my kids,
Yeah.
right? So which ones do you pick?
I'm a bit more of a one and done person, but where it gets tricky for me, because I have this mind that's like, I like efficiency and getting to the bottom line. I like short sentences. I like to say things in the fewest amount of words possible. It's just the way I'm a very minimalist person in every aspect of my life. And but where it gets tricky for me is when I get to the studio, and each time I've recorded has been a different experience. They've all been good, but you learn as you go. And you know, I do my best to set expectations, but communication is a two-way street, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that can be tricky. So finding a really good producer who can help you communicate is really important, especially if you're a female artist. You got to find somebody that the guys will listen to sometimes, just to put it bluntly. But I like to give as much direction as I can as a starting point, but then I hire great players and I trust them.
That's the key right there.
To be creative. And even in a live show, yeah, I want my signature parts there, but I'm okay if it's close. You know, if you're feeling something in the moment that represents this, you know, I'm not looking for robots. You know, I'm looking for creating an experience in the moment that makes people glad they got out of the house. That's why I'm a Bruce Springsteen fan.
See, that's what I love about you and your music, and of course Springsteen as well. You have the idea, you float it around, and then the other band members like, oh well, if we do it this way, or we change this to this and change it, you don't know if you're sitting on a major hit here, but at the same time, theirs might be a major hit because it's just that one little change, that one little chord change, that one little higher or lower type of thing, whatever it is, the scale, it can change the whole dynamic of the song.
Absolutely.
You know that as a songwriter.
Yeah, absolutely. And at some point, I lose objectivity about what I'm doing. And Paula has said to me before, well, can't you tell this, or this? We were listening to a mix of a song. And it was like, I just lose objectivity when it's mine. I can listen to someone else's and say this, and this. And she's like, I understand that. You know, so I try to just be really open. If there's something I don't like or whatever, I'll say it. But that doesn't there's rarely been a time where everybody's not been on the same page about something. Like, I can only think of one time where somebody was really trying to change the heartbeat of the song, and I had to have some things redone after. But it wasn't that big of a deal, and it wasn't that the person was trying to like sabotage. It wasn't malicious or anything. It was just, he was just who he was, coming at it that way. And it took me a while to listen and go, no, I can't live with this. Because there is some truth in, and you can ask Rick Rubin, who knows a couple things about music.
Yeah. That's the one with Paul McCartney and the Beatles, right?
Yeah, sometimes done is better than perfect. You know, at some point you have to be done and you have to put it out there. And I've kind of always done things that way too, but this was an issue where I listened and it just in my gut. I was like, I can't live with it. So we recut it and changed it and made it, just gave it that little, it was probably a 15% bump of what it needed. You know, it wasn't a huge thing, but it was like, now I can love this song and share it with the world. And nobody's heard it yet. It hasn't been released yet, but it will be.
So what's your advice going forward with other musicians that are trying to become successful in this type of industry and in this the way it is right now? What kind of advice can you give a person starting out, say a musician wanting to just become successful?
Yeah, well, I'm going to be honest, just like Lita Ford's honest. If you can do anything else, you should go do that, because this is really, really, really hard, and it's hard in ways that you can't imagine. And in fact, you don't even know till you've been in it for a long time, and then you're in it and you can't get out. Like,
true, very true.
How hard it is. Multiply that by 50% if you're a female, and of course it's way better than it was, but it's still harder. But you know, there's no shame in making it a hobby. If it's a hobby, that doesn't mean that you're not serious about it or that you're not working towards your goals.
Yeah.
But I'm just not wired. I'm an all or nothing person. You know, when I decided, when I started doing music and seeing that people were going to pay me money, I approached it as an entrepreneur. I didn't know I knew what kind of music I liked, but I was so limited of a musician at the time. Even though I started playing music when I was really young, I didn't play music for a long time in my life. And when I picked it back up and started getting paid to do it, I didn't know what kind of musician I was going to be, but the hustle was on. I knew I could promote myself, I could book gigs, and I could get paid while I figured it out.
Right. That's
Start
right.
local, build your community, stay true to yourself. If somebody comes along that wants to help you do more, kind of take it with a grain of salt. Trust your gut, but keep doing what you're doing, because, you know, every major good thing that's happened in my career has happened because of my hustle and my hard work and me doing the next thing I could do, focusing on what I could control, finding radio stations that would take submissions from independent artists for free, just taking another step, you know, and then I'm in London winning an award, that kind of stuff. That didn't come from anybody else. So that's my advice. Stay true to yourself. If you can do anything else, you should go do that, and, you know, see what happens. But there's a difference between being an artist and being somebody that's looking for the fast track to fame. So I'm talking to artists. I'm not talking to people who want to show up, plug in the formula for the hit song and go. I'm just talking to the real deal artists out there, because AI is never going to replace that.
That is true. If we don't allow it to, you know, it's up to us to stand. And I always say this: promote the heck out of yourself. You know, I mean, self-promotion is probably the hardest thing to do. People don't do it nearly enough. I had a friend that was a great artist, and he said, I don't have time to promote myself. I said, then why are you putting the music out there? Why would you put music out there if you're not going to promote yourself? You understand what I'm saying, right? I mean, if you don't do it, who's going to do it for you?
I spend more time on promotion than anything else. I spend more time on social media content than anything else. And I don't like it. It's not healthy to live in a world where you are the product, you are the business, and I'm by myself most days, and I like being by myself, but you know, it's a very self-centered career. It doesn't mean that you're a self-centered person, but
Right.
it's not healthy. And so I figured
Right.
out how to do it where it's a non-event. You know, it does sometimes takes more effort than other times, but I kind of have found ways to do it where it's not super taxing for me, so that I can prioritize working on music every day and just taking care of myself and not being on social media more than I really have to be. You know, just balance, man, is really probably an illusion, but worth striving for, even if we never really get there. You know, it's just using the technology and platforms that we have, but also I go out to the beach every day and stare at the ocean and stretch.
All right, so we got about 5 minutes left. So what I want you to do is that promote yourself. Talk about where you're going to be, what you have coming up next after Lita Ford's song, and anything else you want to say to people. This is your contact information, your phone, your email, and of course your website. And any way they can get in contact with you for if they want you for a gig or something. So go ahead, Rhonda.
Yeah, I mean, I just appreciate everybody doing the simplest things that you may not think really matter the most, that don't cost you anything. Streaming, sharing. If you're a downloader of music, 99 cents, can get a song. But the streaming, downloading, sharing is so important. You know, it has that snowball effect for us, and where it just multiplies and grows. And a lot of people just underestimate their own influence. You can be a social media influencer with just a click of a button. I'm again playing this Saturday at the Twist on Main in Ventura. Got more shows coming up here on the West Coast. I'm going to be on the West Coast for a little while, prepping for a tour that Paula Ann and her team are setting up for me. But I'm just enjoying a lot of networking out here right now and meeting a lot of great musicians, getting a lot of great feedback from shows. But, you know, fear not, everybody in Texas, in the Southeast, in the Midwest, I'll be back. Don't worry about that. But yeah, just rondaray.music.com is my website, and it's RONDARAY music.com. No H in Rhonda. That'll take you to my socials. It will take you to my YouTube, to my merchandise store. I'm going to be releasing some new merchandise here, hopefully in the next week, that I'm excited about for summer. It's really fun. I have a Facebook group called the Party Time Crew, and I'm able to just kind of be myself and be very candid, and it's a place where we are funny and we're positive and encouraging and try to be grateful. A place that is the opposite of what the algorithm likes to promote on social media. But it's a place where you can tune in and be part of that whole deal, where we're just a good vibes type of group.
Well, I want to say thank you again for this interview. Again, Sue Bloom had medical emergency, so she asked me to do the show, and I said, yeah, more than glad to do it. Never expected to be part of this. I just be an engineer, but I'm glad to have met you, Rhonda. You're an amazing music artist. I wish you the best going forward, and hope to hear more from you. And all the time, they could be promoting you on HamiltonRadio.net. We play artists like you every day, and you know, we're all over the world all the time. We've been all over the world for 28 years. I don't know why people would not recommend or promote us for that reason.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Doc, for what you do and for a really fun conversation, and well wishes to Stu for sure.
Okay. Thank you. Everybody, thanks for being here. Michael Bott, Thomas Sokup, and all the others that have been listening on the radio, talk to you soon. Have a great night. God bless. Bye-bye.